Nickolaus, there's no question that, at least from the perspective of trade unions, labor and employees have really been on an onslaught here. This is not just from how the state of the economy is looking, but what that has meant for the jobs in the country, or the loss of jobs, more importantly.
Indeed, and very, very strong words, as you said, from Cosatu there at Cosatu House with their post-special Central Executive Committee meeting. And I had to think that, it's been a very, very short-lived romance between Cosatu and, of course, Cyril Ramaphosa, with them being the very first component of the tripartite alliance that came out and supported the president in his bid to unseat Jacob Zuma as not only party president, but then at Mahlaba Ndlovu as well as the union buildings in the hot seat there. And as such, Cosatu not mincing their words and saying it looks as though, government has no plan or desire to number one, make miners safe in an industry that is continually beset by either retrenchments or indeed accidents that result in death, and also is following economic policies that is benefiting nobody but white monopoly capital. So very strong fighting talk from Cosatu itself, and they are also suggesting that it will be a national plan, national day of action, not exactly giving direct timelines as to when that will happen, but details of which will emerge after their next elective conference, which is happening from the 17th to the 23rd of September.
Nickolaus, were they able to explain what exactly they see as worker-friendly policy? So in order to meet such a commitment or such a call, what would the president need to do?
Well, first and foremost, they were calling for a moratorium on any movement in the public sector with regards to trimming back on the civil service. There was that story that the Mail and Guardian ran on Friday, and of course something that the media has followed. Government hasn't come out unequivocally and said that the civil service will not be tampered with. Rather just not confirming or saying that, or not confirming that story in its entirety. And essentially what Cosatu is looking for is that moratorium on public sector jobs, but also to ensure that there will be no retrenchments in any public sector, in any private sector parts of the economy either. Speaking to eNCA after the briefing, we had General Secretary of Cosatu, Becky and Charlie offering some very, very strong words for the president and his government. Let's maybe have a listen to what he had to say.
He should know that it will pay a price for failing to balance the demands of capital and the demands of labor. We're not going to compromise in our firm demand for the economy to be restructured with a bias towards labor and the poor. The aspiration of the working class have to be reflected in the ANC government policy and programs. And if the ANC reject or dishonor those aspirations, there will be no need for us to be in the alliance with it. The meeting has also instructed all unions to start the process of mobilization in both the public service and private sector in preparation for the anticipated battles ahead. The forces ranged against us are powerful: big business, imperialism, and obvious hostile government. We issue a call to all our members in the public service to prepare for a serious pushback against Treasury austerity measures and the planned retrenchment. We shall be taking this matter to the next month National Congress to resolve on the date of a national strike and a subsequent program to fight and protect jobs.
Well, certainly strong words there from Becky Njali. And Nickolaus, a part of me is thinking it's not the first time we've sat down and listened to Cosatu in particular talk tough on issues, but not necessarily be able to fully walk the talk. What makes it different this time around?
Well, we also have to look at it within the context of we're essentially in an election year. There's a lot of different things that are competing for President Cyril Ramaphosa's attention, and indeed the governing party, the ANC, as well. I suppose Cosatu trying to draw a line in the sand and say, this is exactly what we're expecting, and if you want us to mobilize our supporters to vote for you come elections 2019, then you need to toe the line in terms of what you've promised. And once again, underlining the fact that there's many policies that the ANC agrees to at elective conferences, but does not follow through when it comes to the actual issues of governance. So in many ways, decrying the fact that the ANC likes to talk left, but then indeed, when it's in government, walk right.
Well, it also brings us to the issue of land, and certainly that's an issue that's going to be, it seems, on a lot of people's election ticket, and certainly an important conversation to be having. What does Cosatu have to say? Well,
Cosatu, in many ways, supporting the ANC. I suppose you could argue that that's one issue that Cosatu and the ANC see eye to eye on. Before I went to Cosatu House, I managed to go to the National Working Committee of the ANC's briefing that they had at Luthuli House. They were, of course, involved in a meeting over the weekend. And the report back there was essentially a rebuke of the media and anybody that was criticizing the ANC for what many regarded them as jumping the gun on the land issue by issuing that late-night statement that was read out by Cyril Ramaphosa about going ahead with plans to amend the Constitution to make it very clear that expropriation without compensation can take place. Once again, though, Jesse Duarte, the Deputy Secretary General, said that the Constitution in its current form does not disallow land expropriation without compensation. However, what they saw at the public hearings, and indeed what they believe is the mood within the public and what the people want, they want that to be more clear. And speaking to National Working Committee member and also head of the ANC presidency, Zizi Kotwa, after that briefing, I asked him about whether or not the ANC is following the EFF and whether or not the ANC should be allowed to be open to criticism about how the way that they are handling the land. He said that all detractors of the ANC stance thus far with land need not make this into a bigger issue than it is, because the ANC will be handling it with kid gloves and ensuring that it is handled in the correct way. Let's hear what he had to say.
We will not be reckless, even as we do this important project that must address historical injustices of our country. We will not have this fear factor of Swartgefar, that they will take private residence, private houses of individuals. It's not about that. We will not go to Houghton, we will not go to Camps Bay, we will not go to Sentin and take people's private property. And some of the fear factor is that it will go on a wholesale. We are talking about addressing importantly, fundamentally, what is in the Freedom Charter. The land will be shared among those who work it.